What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? NoZoupForYou here, and I've got some follower-submitted gameplay by Dunklin Fire, and he is in everybody's favorite ship, the new meta of the game, the Thunderer, though he's going to play it a little differently than you've probably seen as of late. Though he is going to start off sitting in the back for a little bit, he's going to flank up and show that you can still move in this ship, or any other battleship for that matter. You don't have to sit in the back, you don't have to stay still. So, I guess in many ways, he is going to show you that Deadeye is not the be-all, end-all. And that's kind of the point of this video and the topic for today. So, Deadeye has had a strange effect on the game. And it's not the effect that you think I'm going to say. I mean, obviously, we've seen changes in the meta because players think that they have to sit in the back now and that they have to make the most use out of Deadeye. No, that's not the biggest effect that Deadeye's had. The biggest effect that Deadeye has had is that people are not complaining about CVs anymore. And that's kind of nice for a change. It's almost like people have forgotten about their anger towards CVs, and they're now using that anger and pushing it towards Deadeye and Battleships, and specifically the Thunderer, because the Thunderer seems to be able to make very good use of Deadeye. But I digress on that. I think that, you know, many people are, I don't know, they're possibly overstating the effects of Deadeye, or at least the power. And yes, I know that Deadeye is a strong tool in many ways. It's I don't want to say unfair, but it can be used to devastating effect, but I don't know. I don't think it's the worst thing to ever happen in this game. I mean, we've seen a lot of things in this game that we seem to forget about that have changed the way that this game is played. It always happens. It seems like every year there is some major change that just has a very, very large effect on the game. I mean, in the beginning, we used to have stealth firing. I'm sure you all remember stealth firing and how annoying that could be, having a Zhao or a Chapayev, or, you know, just name a ship. Name any ship for that matter that could stealth fire, especially the fast ones that were hard to hit, just firing at you from thin air. I mean, for those of you that were around for that, that was horrible. And that change was for the better when they got rid of that, though people had to adjust, and you know, it was a horrible adjustment at first. There was some complaining and everything else. Then, you know, there was RPF, the radio position finding, or radio positioning finding. What? I can't even pronounce it right. You know what I'm talking about? Radio location, though. Okay. When that came out, that was the worst thing to happen to the game. It was going to kill the game. It was going to make destroyers overpowered, and the community got in a giant, huge tizzy over it. The game was dying, players were leaving, supposedly, and the world was ending. The World of Warships, that is. Well, here we are several years on, and RPF is still around. People aren't complaining about it whatsoever, from what I can see, because there's other things to complain about. And that's the point. We complain about new things, always. Always. And Deadeye is no different. It really isn't. I mean, when you look at it, for a time, RPF was the worst thing to ever happen to the game. Players swore up and down it was going to kill the game, change the meta, and just spoke of the worst. I mean, the uproar over that commander skill was probably just as bad as it is for Deadeye. And here we are several years later, and we've kind of forgotten about that, or how bad it was, or I don't even think it was that bad. Just, you know, the whole community anger. It's like we've got to be angry at something in this game, whether it's aircraft carriers or some new commander skill. And, you know, again, I don't want to understate the, I don't know, I don't want to say stupidity, but just the ridiculousness of this captain skill, because I don't agree with the captain skill. I think it needs to be tamped down a little bit. And you see right now that Mr. Dunklin is already starting his push. He has hit the mid side of the map. He's got some battleships pushing with him. Some of them are hanging in the back. The enemy team's definitely hanging in the back. unfortunately. No doubt trying to make the most of that Deadeye skill, the other battleships, but he's too close for them to do that now. And again, that's one of the biggest counters against Deadeye, being able to push up and just negate that skill completely. I'm looking at you, destroyers, because you're vital and key in that, and cruisers. But you know, Deadeye, yes, it needs to be reined in, and I think the best way to do that is battleships can only use it when they're undetected. So that first shot while you're undetected, you get Deadeye. Then if you stay detected, you can't use it. I mean, it's simple. It's that easy. And that would decrease the amount of Deadeye shots by probably 75%. And it would also give more of an incentive for people to push, so that other battleships can't use that. That's my way to fix it. That's my opinion on how to fix Deadeye. But, you know, I've seen a lot of things lately that I just don't believe. I definitely don't agree with. I mean, I've seen people say pushing is dead. Pushing is dead in World of Warships. You can no longer push because of Deadeye. And I just want to tell you, that's 100% horse crap right there. I mean, you see right here, Dunklin's pushing. He's pushing in a ship that uses Deadeye. He's not even sitting in the back to use it. He is pushing because he knows he can push, and the Thunderer, believe it or not, is a great ship for pushing. I mean, you don't have to sit back in the Thunderer to be effective. I mean, I guarantee you, most of the players, if they push, they're going to find that they could probably score more points in Thunderer, or damage, cause more damage, than if they were to sit in the back using Deadeye. I mean, that's how strong Thunderer is. It didn't need Deadeye to be strong. And in fact, this might be one of the ships that Deadeye is actually hindering, because players aren't playing this ship the way they need to. But I've pushed very easily in my Des Moines. I'm still pushing very well in cruisers. I can still push in my Minotaur. I can still push in destroyers. I mean, if you can't push in a ship that has under 10 kilometers of, or a minimum concealment of 10 kilometers or less, I mean, that's not something being wrong with the game. That's something being wrong with your playstyle. I mean, yeah, radar's still out there. Oh yeah, radar. Let's bring up radar, because radar was the worst thing to happen to the game at one point. Yeah, I know, right? That killed the game, right? The game's dead. The game's dead because of radar. Game's dead because of stealth firing. Game's dead because of RPF. Game's dead because of the carrier rework. Game's now dead because of Deadeye. Players are leaving. The game is dead. Right? You can't push anymore. Pushing's not fun. And Dunklin can tell you that right now. You can't push. Don't tell him you can't push. He's stuck on the C line. Yeah, of the enemy team. Pushing is very well and alive. It's just up to you as a player to do it. And are you going to be successful every time? No. But that's the way this game works. There's a time to push and there's a time not to. And yes, while Deadeye has made gameplay a little more static, that's only because a lot of players are choosing for it to be static. Nothing is stopping you from pushing. If you're in a cruiser and you get blapped on the side by Deadeye still, that speaks to more of your ability to use WASD than the enemy's team to hit you with Deadeye. I mean, if it's that big of an issue for you in any ship, just stick the commander skill on you that tells you when there's incoming shells and use your WASD hacks to avoid it. I know, just dodge, right? Easier said than done. But Deadeye is not going to kill the game. It's not going to kill pushing. And I guarantee you a month from now, players are going to figure it out. Players are going to adapt because we're smart. We know how to adapt in this game. We're not stupid. I mean, after time, players are going to either get bored of it, or they're going to move on to other ships, or they're just going to figure out how to deal with it. And it's easy enough to deal with. You either push on a battleship that has it, negate their ability to use it, or use terrain, you hide from those ships. I mean, there's a myriad of things you can do to keep ships from using Deadeye, or to negate the power of Deadeye. And that's a 4-point skill right there that could be used elsewhere. That's 4 points that could be used on something else. And Dunklin is pushing all the way to the top right now. His team's winning. They only have 1 cap, but they've got the ship advantage. No small part to his push. In fact, a large part to that. He's having a heck of a round right now. He's pushing in the Thunderer. I mean, I'm shocking, right? And just wrecking that Pommern right now. There's a high caliber for him. He's low damage, or low health, but he's going to survive still. He's at 200,000 damage at this point. All from pushing, not using Deadeye. Doing what Thunderers do. Starting fires, but also using that powerful, powerful AP, switching back and forth. You don't have to sit in the back and use HE and Deadeye in order to do good in a battleship. Players were doing good in battleships far before Deadeye. And I suspect many will do good even without it, even if it's nerfed or whatever, and I'm not saying that it even needs to be at this point. The fact of the matter is, every time we have a giant change in this game, people start yelling, the sky's falling, people are leaving the game, it's the end of the game, it's the end of World of Warships. Every new earth-shaking change this game gets is the worst thing to ever happen. And players just can't imagine, or just can't understand how stupid wargaming is to implement such a thing. And then a month goes by, and then 2 months goes by, and players forget about their anger regarding that particular skill or thing. Well, unless it's carriers, because the community's still divided on that, but I really don't think they're that big of a deal. I mean, what, Dunklin shot down 10 planes in his Conqueror, or excuse me, Thunderer, and he really hasn't even bothered with them, so they're about to win this. They're about to win this. So your takeaway from this? No, pushing's not dead. No, having fun's not dead. No, World of Warships is not dead. No, Deadeye is not the worst thing to ever happen in this game, and it's not going to kill the game, and it won't, and never will. And yes, we're going to adapt, we're going to overcome eventually, and some other thing's going to come down the line that we're absolutely going to hate, either be it a ship, or a skill, or a module, or something that we're going to say is game-breaking, even though it's not, and we're going to rage about that and forget about Deadeye, and we'll adapt to that too. We'll overcome it, and we'll move on. And that's just the way it is with the community. I mean, I'm not saying that we're horrible people for thinking that when things come out, but I guess we all need some place to place our rage and explain why we ourselves can't play up to the level we want to. And yes, it's easy for me to blame Deadeye if I want to, if I have a poor round, but when it comes down to it, you know, if I get sunk, it's not because of Deadeye. It's because I chose a poor time to push. Just a very poor time. It's my fault. It's user error. And that's just the way it is. I'm not going to blame Deadeye for it. I'm not going to blame some mechanic when I made a mistake. And I implore you shouldn't as well. Just, yeah. Yeah, I've seen this so many times. I start feeling like a broken record at this point. But no. Deadeye, it's annoying, but it's not the worst thing in the world. So get out there in your battleships and push. Have fun. Brawl. Don't rely on Deadeye. You don't have to. You can still have monster rounds without that skill. Or, you know, if you feel better, you can put it on there, but you can still push and do a lot of damage. I mean, look at Dunklin here. Pushing, he's done 221,000 damage, and I guarantee you that is more than probably 90% of the people that are actually using Deadeye can do. He's not going to get the Kraken, by the way. Funny that the last ship's name is Kraken, and he's trying to sink Kraken to get a Kraken, but he's not going to get it. But he did have a great round, so thank you, Dunklin. So all of you out there, keep the faith. The game's strong, the game's fine. We'll get past Deadeye, and we'll start raging about something else at some other point in the future. I promise. Anyhow, everybody, thanks for watching. Take it easy. Zoop out.